one, hey all, now stick with me. With Rise of the Beasts just around the corner, it felt like I should do something to sort of honor that. So we're going to look at something kind of related to that by way of Revenge of the Fallen and Stratosphere. Yeah, Stratosphere is actually going to be a character in the new film, but his only real release thus far anyway is this guy, which I was sort of excited to look at on loan from our buddy Maximal 10, and then I discovered that this guy is one of the last bastions of dreaded gold plastic syndrome. And it made me real nervous. Some kid gloves needed, but we're going to look at everything to do with Revenge of the Fallen Stratosphere in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you are at it, light 'em up, baby! Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below, also in the description down below. And if you happen to be in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course, hit the join button at any given time to become a channel member. And this is Stratosphere. Interestingly enough, he's actually modeled on a nest plane. The nest plane that the back opened on and deployed Optimus Prime, little teeny tiny Optimus Prime, one of the smallest transforming Optimus Primes we've ever gotten. We'll look at this guy too. And I was excited to look at this because Stratosphere is going to be in the new Rise of the Beasts film, and I knew we had gotten an earlier version of it. Well, enter our buddy Maximal 10, and I'm very thankful he's letting me take a look at this. However, in doing my research and my due diligence, I realized this guy is known to be one of the last sufferers of GPS. He has gold plastic on the shoulders, he has gold plastic on the knees and the thighs. So in the review you may notice a couple of cuts because I wanted to handle this guy with some real kid gloves. Nevertheless, there is a charm to this. It's a glorious alt mode. Man, I am smitten. Are you going to be smitten? How about we find out when we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. Or I guess I should say, these guys. And yes indeed, who would have figured that a somewhat nondescript Transformer, a somewhat nondescript Autobot from Revenge of the Fallen in 2009, a version of a Transformer that homages a scene in the film but wasn't really a character in the film, would be revisited now in 2023. Because it's somewhat appropriate since this character is now going to actually appear in the film by way of Rise of the Beasts. We're going back in time here a little bit to take a look at the Voyager release of Stratosphere. And we know that Stratosphere will be in Rise of the Beasts as of this recording. We also know that apparently, if the leaks are to be believed, he will basically serve as a transport to get the Autobots to Peru, though this time around he is going to be voiced by Joe DiMaggio, I think, or no, John DiMaggio. Joe DiMaggio, wasn't he a baseball player if I'm not mistaken? So I think that we're actually going to get the character this time. In essence, what this guy, I guess, is a reference to a scene in Revenge of the Fallen when Optimus is dropped off by Big Cargo Plane, and this is a slightly stylized from that, but it's in the same vein, where you took the, I think it was a nest plane actually, and now all of a sudden it's a Transformer named Stratosphere, and I guess it's one of those, like, he's had a bit of a cult following over the years, and now he's actually going to get realized. Hopefully we will get an update to this guy when that comes out. I'm down for a Stratosphere update. I'd also like a Transit, the dude that apparently turns into a bus. But I digress. Here we have him and a little itty bitty Optimus Prime way down here. We're going to look at the Optimus first, and then we're going to look at this guy with some kid gloves, man. And yes indeed, this itty bitty Prime is really designed to be carried by the plane and ejected in plane mode. It cannot be carried in robot mode. Apparently, he is tiny, one of the smallest of the Optimus Primes. in terms of Optimus Primes that can transform, right? So one of the smallest transforming Optimus Primes. Word is, it's even smaller than the world's smallest. So I don't know if that's true, but I'll give you a point of reference in a few moments. He does roll like a champion. I do love that we do have a bit of flame like deco up on the hood, and the windows and grille are painted on the front. Though the side does leave something to be desired. Though the arms back here are painted, and I like that all of the tires look the same. Who knew, right? Who knew? He does roll like a champion. To do the transformation, it's quite simple. We take this piece and flip it all the way down. We take the legs, really, and they're tight, man, and flip them all the way forward and up. And then we take the arms and flip it out, and flip it out, and we can bring the arms down. And then back here is his little head, and boom, that's Optimus in his robot mode. I'm going to stand him up and give you a point of reference. Because he's so tiny, before I do the point of reference, I wanted to give you a decent look at him. So the arms can go forward and back because of right here. The head, I don't think the head really does anything other than go back because of transformation. Same with the legs, they can flip back, and the toes can flip up, but man, oh man, what a tiny, tiny Optimus. In fact, he's only about the same height as one of the more recent, like, Siege Micromasters. Actually, this is the Holly that came with Victory Saber. But you get the idea. He's as big as one of the recent Micromasters in terms of height, but in terms of, like, size and mass, like, he's even smaller than that. So you'll notice I didn't actually give any scores to Optimus. He's like a 2 or 3. There's nothing amazing about it. I mean, he's obviously meant to spend his life as a truck. I mean, the articulation's very limited. The transformation's very simple. It's a neat little add-on, right? But it's definitely not the star of the show. Our boy Stratosphere is, and he is one big lanky boy. He's a Voyager. Here he is next to a couple of modern Voyagers. We have Alpha Trion down at the far end, somewhere around a good modern 145 or so grams, right? Modern Voyagers tend to be 145 to about 165. This guy over here, this is a tremendous mold. 186 grams, plus more paint, plus better engineering, plus an interesting transformation, plus dense plastic, right? Stratosphere, 182. So, I mean, taking this guy out of it, though, this guy has a lot of engineering and paint and whatnot to him as well. There's a very interesting kind of comparison here, right? Because this guy in the modern age, some 14 years later, obviously he costs more and whatnot. But you know what? Like, there's more to this guy, right? The Megatron, or you'll notice I have Megatron taken off his chest. I'm actually going to use this not as Combat Hero Megatron. I'm going to use it as Megaplex. Because Megaplex from Machine Wars is a clone of Megatron. It's an excuse to give this mold a life. Does it look like what Megaplex is supposed to look like? Not really, but I mean, the Machine Wars Megatron doesn't really look like Megatron either, right? So, I don't know. This felt like a decent use of it for me. I digress. But yeah, if we compare just these two, I mean, you have more mass, more paint, more engineering. Like, I get it. This guy costs more because he is more. Taking him out of it. But back in the day, this is what we had in the movie line for Stratosphere. In terms of looks, I'm going to call it, let's call it a 9. It's hard to call it a 10, because now, leading into Rise of the Beasts, where he's actually going to be voiced, I believe, by John DiMaggio, if I'm not mistaken, who's voiced a number of Transformers. Word is that his main role is going to be as a transport to Peru, but he does have a robot model now. He does have a specified look that doesn't really look like this. If we go back to the Titan movie comic that tied in apparently with Dark of the Moon, that looks a little more G1ified than this. I figure that what they did here is they said, look, the plane is supposed to be an homage to that scene in Dark of the Moon. I think it's Dark of the Moon. Maybe it's Revenge of the Fallen. I'm not sure. Is it Dark of the Moon or Revenge of the Fallen? It was 2009. What was that? That was Revenge of the Fallen. Revenge of the Fallen. So, There's a scene in Revenge of the Fallen where Optimus is like deployed from a big transport plane, basically, right? I think it's a Nest plane. And this is meant to homage that plane. It's just now he's an Autobot, and now he has a robot mode. So I think there was a lot of liberty taken in the comic with the design of this robot all the way around, because at the time, Stratosphere just never had a robot mode. I can't call it perfect because it varies so much. Let's call it a 9. What about the articulation for the guy? Well, the articulation for the guy is certainly interesting. First thing to note is that the dude has one heck of a backpack, buddy. I mean, it is what it is, right? Still, because of his gigantic, like, pontoon-type feet, he stands like a champion. I said I'm going to use kid gloves here because there's gold used on the shoulder, there's gold used on the thigh, and for the knee. Word is that even though this was like at the tail end of the era of GPS, no, it's not a thing anymore. People who worry about it in the modern day, the chemical makeup of the gold plastic they use nowadays has been chemically different. So GPS not a thing anymore. Though in the modern era we do have our own issues. Looking at you, yellowing plastic. Nevertheless, because this is on loan from our buddy Maximal 10, I want to use kid gloves because it's not mine, right? I don't want to break it. 9 for the look. What about the articulation? Well, the head can go left and right, not much up and down. Oh, though that just came unpegged, which does happen. The torso is really held together here with a peg and a hole, and it does, I do find that it likes to unpeg. Head goes left and right, no real up and down. These wing pieces, they can move up and down, but these hinges in here are also known to potentially crack. We have what seems like a ratchet out here, but it doesn't ratchet all the time. I'm only taking it up to there. It can go higher, but you can see we can go out. Also, the shoulder, like, it can rotate forward and back. It could probably go all the way around if you get the wing out of the way. There is a bicep swivel. I'm not turning it in case the mushroom peg in there is weak or some such thing. But we can see that we have a double elbow, which is very nice. I think this was also the era of like Mech Alive. So if you look in the arm, maybe you might see some gears moving. Maybe it's these gears. I'm not sure. But he has a double elbow. That's nice. Anything at the wrist? Nothing at the wrist, but he does have articulated fingers. Dude was supposed to have like a shuttle, basically, that would peg in up here. Cool. It would also go in his hand as like a blaster. That got cut, but we still have like the space in the hand and the hole up here. It's vestigial, I guess. As we move down the body, nothing at the waist. The legs have the same sort of soft ratchet that the shoulders do, so like, maybe it's a hard ratchet there. Yeah, like they can go all the way out. It's a bit scary to do. Thigh swivel, I think, built up here. I don't want to turn it just in case. There is a knee that gives you a little bit of bend. Because of the chicken leg, he has like a hinge out here on the gray as well. The feet can move forward and back, but they're hecka tight. Hecka tight? Is that a thing? Is hecka a thing when you don't want to necessarily say that it's hella tight, because it's not hella tight. It's just sort of hecka tight. Most of what you would want there is there. Wrist maybe might be nice. And if there is one, then I can't get it to work. Waist would be nice, but I understand why that would be hard to engineer in there. What about like an ankle? No ankle tilt, but I don't know if you necessarily need an ankle tilt here. I'm going to say that the articulation by rights is about a 9 as well. It should be quite good. However, I'm going to have to mark it down because there is that GPS fear that if you were to articulate this guy and break something, wouldn't that be just sad? So, well, by rights, based on the engineering, it should be a solid 9. It's pretty great. Because of the materials used, it's going to be more like a 5, maybe a 6. And maybe that's not fair. Maybe that's not fair. But I have to acknowledge the materials used, right? So, assuming that you avoid the GPS, assuming that this guy doesn't have those issues, then we have a 9 and a 9. That's what we're going to kind of go with. Pretty darn good. Let's do the transformation. Not gonna lie, a little bit nervous about this. I got him in this mode, but I'm a bit nervous going back for the same reason I was coming here. The gold, right? The gold. We'll see how this goes though. Fingers crossed. So where will we begin? I guess we'll begin by untabbing his body, and we're going to push his head down. And by the way, I like this, that the head is just the landing gear being pushed up to make the head go up. It's elegant. It's simple and it's elegant. Then we will take these and we're going to bring these up all the way here. Very much like Armada Jetfire to me. Then we have that untabbed. Yeah, so like all of this by rights will end up coming out, but really we have to get the arms here back in underneath, and when we do that we're going to actually be pulling back the nose cone as well. Maybe, yeah, that'll come all the way in like that. Push that all the way in like that, and then these are going to come down underneath the body here. I'm going to do that off screen since I have to manipulate those shoulders, and then we'll just pick it up in a second. I'm sweating bullets, man. So I have them in here and now push down. So far, so good. Next, these side pieces need to come down, and again, that even makes me a little nervous because the hinges here apparently are known to crack. Everything feels fine on him, but you never know, I guess, when something will be a surprise, right? So all of this seems to be coming down thusly. I'm just going to leave that down like that for now. Here we can bring up these pieces and bring these like tail pieces out. And really, by rights, there's a spring-loaded mechanism here that causes here to kind of pop down for Optimus, right? Okay, so far, whoo, so good. Now we need to get the, I'm gonna say the landing gear, there's not really pontoons. It's interesting. I don't know if these are supposed to be up or down. There's 3 gray molded in ones, but then there's one real wheel back here. It's a bit jarring and weird, so I tend to keep it covered because it's just, it's weird. It's very weird. Basically that flips up on the leg, scarily. Then this comes up, this comes forward, and now the whole thing should kind of be able to come up over. And this blue piece here will go into really this gap on the leg. And yeah, we fold the waist up. All of this should come up like that. And then this really should go in here. So I'm going to do it on the other side because this is nerve-wracking. So we come over here and we bring that up. We, bring that out. Sorry, I've done this the wrong way. Bring that up. Bring this around thusly and up over. Then these legs, they go together like that. Whoo, buddy. Oh man, nerve-wracking, nerve-wracking. And then in essence, this is going to fold over. And yeah, it's all kind of going to go squeezed together. I'm going to get a couple of other things in order and then we'll finish the transformation off. Pardon the cut, but I did have a mistake made with the transformation. The palms need to kind of be facing out, which means I did need to turn the shoulders. I did not have that done, but I wanted to explain it before I kind of fold all this down. It's a tight fit to get these hands in here, but once you do, you should be able to kind of push the rest of everything down and together so that in essence, boom, I have to get some stuff solidified, but in essence, boom, here we have Stratosphere back in his plane mode, and it was not at all a bad transformation. It's a great transformation. In fact, I'm going to give the transformation a solid 10. I love how the legs completely unfurl. I love the simplicity of how the wings get out of the way for the arms to come out, and I love the auto transformation feature. The only reason that this was hard, and the only reason that this made me sweat bullets, is because of the gold plastic. With everything done, the only thing left to do is give his overall score. It was a 9, a 9, a 10, By rights, the guy's solid, like, you know, 9.25. The only problem being that, unfortunately, he does suffer from GPS. Here we have, I don't remember which way they go back. This comes down, and when that comes down, we should be able to slide. Not sure which way he's supposed to go in here. This way, maybe? Maybe it's this way. Yeah, maybe it's that way. Oh, and I didn't put Optimus's head back down, so that's not gonna work. But yeah, in essence, he should be able to kind of slide back up here into the body. It's a bit of a tight fit, but there you go. Stratosphere. He was certainly interesting. Is he due for an update? Yeah, I absolutely believe that he is. This was great. It's just too bad that it had the GPS scariness added in. Had that been done in another color, if we didn't have that and this guy was as robust as the rest of his plastic feels, I think we coulda, shoulda had a fantastic Voyager. As it is, he's great, but you gotta be careful of that gold. And here we are once again, and here is Optimus Prime. It's clever that this is a little transforming Optimus Prime. The robot mode leaves a ton to be desired with very little articulation. I don't know if using chrome for the arms was the right way to go. They feel a little fragile to me. But overall, he looks great. This is nice. Too bad that we don't have more paint on the side of the truck. But certainly from front on, this is a great little Optimus and a nice little addition to the main event, which is this guy. In plane mode, he is glorious. I love that we can deploy back here. I love the look of this. I even love that you can pick up these pieces on the side to show the wheels. Too bad they're not painted, and too bad the only real ones are back here, but nevertheless, I do dig it. I love the look of this guy. The transformation, not too bad, honestly. I think it's pretty good. The only problem is, where we do have gold here, and where this was apparently made at a time when that was still a consideration. By the way, it's not anymore. Hasn't been for many, many, many years. And where this wasn't mine, I really wanted to be careful with it. I mean, in essence, all you really have is these two wings going up and the arms kind of folding out. Very similar to Armada Jetfire, if you ask me. And then all of this section down here really just pulls down to become most of the body and the legs and the big pontoon feet. What's really neat is as you bring the arms out, these sides here come up around the front, and to poke the head up, I mean, I can even do it now in plane mode if I want. I love this. This kinda looks like his face a little bit, like in Rise of the Beast, but still kinda stylized. I liked the idea of this. I love the character will be in Rise of the Beast. I sincerely hope that we get an update, because I think I'd totally be in for it. Let me know what you think about Stratosphere and Little Optimus Prime. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. Sorry, I had to clear my throat there. It is extremely appreciated. And I do know how valuable it is, believe me. I really, really do. Please, if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can check out what we have to offer to you through spring. You can hit the join button at any given time. You can check us out on Patreon and all of that good stuff. Please, while you are at it, hit the subscribe button, stick around and have some fun with us here on the channel. And especially do not forget that you right there, somehow, some way, each and every single solitary day, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.